This is a sad one, y'all, listen up. It's an update on Celeste. David and Celeste appeared together in at least one video, which you mentioned streamed online. These suggest inversion contact. Additionally, LAPD detectives executed a search warrant September 17, 2025 in LA residence where David had been staying. Again seeking evidence, they reportedly scoured the home for traces of blood and seized electronics. The very fact that investigators obtained a warrant which requires probable cause of a crime indicates they believe there was a connection worth probing, and notably police had to convince a judge there was reason to suspect a crime to get that warrant. So again, this goes beyond the body being found in a car that was registered to him now. It's showcasing did these two have a connection. So in summary, while no official confirmation of the relationship has been made, evidence from social media and witness strongly indicate that David and Celeste Rivas knew each other and had contact. They apparently interacted online and possibly in person, starting when Celeste was probably around 11 or 12. Celeste's own teacher and mother have alluded to her running off with someone named David and to matching tattoos linking her with the singer, and again think the matching tattoo is also supportive of, the other things that they're trying, like the social media contact. If that's them on the live stream, people saying her friends at school, the teacher she went with the David. So, the tattoo alone, as I said, may not mean much, but you've got just so much around it where the tattoo in context adds makes relevance. Let's see. Matching tattoo link over with the singer. Investigators are looking into everything regarding how they were acquainted. For now, however, authorities have only acknowledged the eerie tattoo coincidence and the fact that Celeste's body was found in David's car. Beyond that, the precise nature of their connection remains publicly unconfirmed. So again, they're looking for the connection and then the relationship. And I think right now, they've established a connection. As I said, I saw something. Maybe it came from Brian Eaton, but he talked about how TMZ had mentioned that they did talk to someone who knew David, may have worked in the camp, whatever with David. I don't know the exact relationship to David, but knew him well. And then basically, he did know who Celeste was. And he did say they looked like they were he confirmed they were in a relationship, but then he backs himself, or whoever the sources backs himself out and says, but I didn't know how old they were. I didn't know the age. So, you maybe expect that. So legal situation and potential charges facing David. So, what are we looking at? So, thus far, David Burke has not been arrested or formally charged in connection with Celeste Rivas Hernandez's death. The investigation's ongoing and much depends on what evidence emerges about how the teen died. So remember, we don't have that yet. We do not have how she died. The death certificate did tell us something, though, right? Told her she wasn't pregnant. That's great. And was never pregnant. But right now, we still don't know her cause of death. However, based on the publicly known fact, several possible criminal charges could be considered under California law. So you got the concealment of death or improper disposal of human remains. So, at minimum, police have stated that someone placed Celeste's body in the front trunk of David's Tesla, hiding her corpse in a bag. If David participated in concealing the death, even if he didn't cause it, he could face charges for actively concealing a death, which is illegal in California. In fact, an LAPD captain noted that, since the coroner has not determined how she died, we don't know for sure if anyone has any criminal culpability beyond the concealment of her dead body. Concealing an accidental and natural death is a misdemeanor offense, so that's California Penal Code punishable by up to 1 year in jail. Similarly, improper disposal of human remains. So, dumping a body outside a cemetery violates state health safety codes. If evidence shows David or associates hid Celeste's body to avoid reporting her death, a misdemeanor charge for concealment or unlawful disposal is quite realistic. Indeed, a private investigator observing the case speculated that prosecutors might ultimately frame the incident this way, for example, as an overdose or accidental death followed by a panic cover-up. We mentioned this in a few videos back. The panic, the sloppiness, and the concealment. So, that doesn't shock me. Let's see. Somebody made a bad decision. She ended up in that Tesla. 'Cause remember guys, even if she overdosed, they're going to get help for her. She's a minor. It's going to expose them to having a minor near them. Reckless at the least, but sexual relationship. So, a lot of them had reason to cover up. Not just David, but anybody that David, gave them a lifestyle. So, anybody could have motive here. Such a scenario would likely lead to charges of concealing the death rather than homicide. Now, hasn't been determined it was a homicide, but it could go that route, right? Depending on what the report comes back and says. The coroner's office saw murder or manslaughter. So, investigators initially said they were investigating this incident as a homicide, though the LAPD later walked back that statement pending autopsy results. If evidence emerges that Celeste was killed by an intentional act or foul play, David could face homicide charges. First or second-degree murder would be on the table if prosecutors believe he willfully or maliciously caused her death. Alternatively, if her death was not premeditated but resulted from a reckless or negligent act by David, a manslaughter charge could be considered. At this time, however, the cause and manner of death are officially deferred. That's undetermined pending further investigation. Notably, media reports indicate the circumstances were grim. Celeste's dismembered remains were found wrapped in a bag in the Tesla, suggesting an attempt to conceal identity or evidence. Such gruesome detail heightened suspicion of foul play. If forensic evidence, DNA, fingerprints, blood traces, links David to the act of killing or dismembering her, if she was dismembered, that's another debate. Murder charges would be likely. On the other hand, without clear evidence of the violent act by him, filing homicide charges would be difficult. The LAPD has conceded it currently lacks proof of a murder and has not named any suspects. So in short, murder or manslaughter charges are possible, but would require solid evidence tying him to causing her death. Now, grooming sex crimes involving a minor. A major facet of this case is Celeste's age, 15 and as young as 13, some believe 12 or 11 during some interactions versus David's age, which is 20. If investigators find proof of a sexual relationship or contact between David and Celeste while she was under the age of consent, he could face serious felony charges irrespective of the cause of death. In California, sex with a minor under 18 can trigger statutory rape charges with enhanced penalties if the age difference is, and sexual activity with a child under 14 is typically charged as child molestation or lewd acts with the minor. According to a legal expert, since Celeste was only 13 when she first went missing in April of 2024 and David was 18 at the time, if there's any sexual activity that could be rape of a minor, that could be kidnapping, that could be trafficking charges. They're going to throw all that. They're going to toss all that at him if that's the case. In other words, any evidence that David engaged in sexual relations with Celeste, especially when she was 13, 14, could lead to charges like statutory rape, child sexual abuse, or even child trafficking if he enticed or transported her for such purposes. These crimes carry significant prison terms. For instance, intercourse with a person under 14 by an adult can carry up to 8 years or more, in human trafficking of a minor, even higher. It's important to note that no such charges have been filed at this stage. That would depend, or those charges would depend on finding communication, photos, witness testimony, or other evidence of an inappropriate relationship. I'm sure I'm sure when they did that digital forensics, I'm sure there's got to be some type of private messaging there. But given the allegations that Celeste ran away with him as a young teen, investigators will certainly be probing this angle, and if substantiated, sex crime charges could be brought in addition to or instead of any charges related to her death. Got kidnapping or contributing to the delinquency of a minor. If it's established that David harbored Celeste or encouraged her to run away from home, he could face charges related to abduction. Encouraged. There's the grooming part. We just talked about that. Kidnapping typically involves force or coercion, but even willingly transporting a minor without parental consent can lead to criminal liability. There's also a lesser offense of child stealing or abduction without custodial right. That's often applied if someone intentionally lures a minor away from their legal guardians. The teacher's account that David came and got her to LA when she was 13, if accurate, raises the specter of such charges. Additionally, contributing to the delinquency of a minor is a misdemeanor that could apply if he aided her in running away or staying hidden from her parents. I mean, guys, this if they're going to throw the book, they're going to do everything. Not to minimize this, but sometimes, when you have an inmate and they break a lot of rules, you write them up for every little thing, and then because you know that they could challenge it, so you're kind of just seeing what sticks. Now, granted, all the thing you're charging them for is applicable, but you never know what they're going to be, whatnot. So, you just throw everything you can at them. hopefully, something sticks and holds some level of accountability. So again, while these are somewhat speculative, they are realistic charges and evidence shows the activity that he actively facilitated her being away from home. Notably, one report mentioned classmates believed David was being blackmailed after her second disappearance in May of 2024, implying others were aware of some improper situation. This could be something investigators are examining in the context of potential coercion or kidnapping. So in summary, the legal jeopardy for David spans a spectrum from a minor misdemeanor to life-altering felonies depending on what the investigation uncovers. On the low end, if Celeste's death is determined to be an accidental, say an overdose, and David's only wrongdoing was hiding the body, he might face a misdemeanor charge for concealment of a death. On the high end, if evidence points to homicide or sexual exploitation, charges like murder, statutory rape, or kidnapping could be filed under California law. At this point, police officials have emphasized that no charges confirmed. They are waiting on forensic results and evidence before deciding how to proceed. The case is being handled by the LAPD Robbery Homicide Division, indicating they are treating it with the seriousness of a potential homicide. We can expect that any criminal charges will align with whatever facts are ultimately proven about how Celeste died and what role, if any, David had in both her death and the concealment of her body. Like I said, y'all, this is a sad one, y'all. Whoever did this should rot in jail. Anyways, y'all, this was a long one. No lie, it was hard to draw. We keep practicing. We keep improving. Thank you to all my 3,000 subscribers. See y'all tomorrow, my ninjas. Oh yeah, give me a like on the way out. Oh yeah.
I'm a like. Who's making this stuff?
Spy Nation.